Today's episode is all about how the Browns can keep Myles Garrett in Cleveland. Now, full transparency, this video was scripted and kind of like just conceived before his interview on the Rich Eisen show, which I made a whole other video about. And to be completely honest with you, I don't have much faith in the Browns holding on to Myles Garrett, nor do I think they should hold on to Myles Garrett at this stage. But if you are in the camp of what could happen for the Browns to hold on to 95, well, this video is for you. So let's at least explore some history, shall we? Because there have been a handful of players who once requested a trade, and we know how things have worked out since then. Lamar Jackson requested a trade. Now, his trade request, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuels, Trey Hendrickson, Jalen Johnson, Buda Bakers, all of those trade requests were rooted in wanting a new contract. Even Kobe once asked for a trade. I learned that this week. Happened in 2007, so a little before my NBA expertise. But yeah, all those trade requests were rooted in we would like a new contract. There is nothing in Myles Garrett's trade request that signals he wants a new contract. He has made it so crystal clear that he is only interested in going to play for a contending team. You can look at his requests right now and refresh your memory on it. This is not about money. And so if money can't solve your problems, when you're a billionaire, that's a very strange position to be in. And I think we've seen plenty of movies and shows where the hero turns down the villain's money and sticks to their morals. I can't really fault Myles for saying, I want to go play for a contender. I'm 29 years old. I'm at the best, the peak of my career right now, and I don't think we're any close to winning a championship here, and I want to go win a ring. I've got plenty of money for the rest of my life and my kids' life and their kids' life. You invest it wisely, all that good stuff. So I don't really have a beef with the way Myles has gone about this. He's been very professional when speaking to the media. He has not tried to smear the Browns or make them out in a bad light. He's been anything but, respectful. I'm sorry, everything and respectful about the Browns and Northeast Ohio. He just wants to go win a ring. Don't we all? So here's my path, though, to keeping Myles. Garrett, I know you're watching, so sit back and relax. Step one, you got to come up with a new quarterback plan. If his desire to go to find a ring is because the Browns are not contenders, you have to somehow convince him you are still a contending team. Having said that, this is very dangerous because now you are starting to cater to one player's wishes, one player's desires. And when you put the player above the team, we've seen that happen so many times in the NBA where teams make a bunch of trades to try and make one star player happy. And has it ever worked out? I don't think so. No. That's what my fear right now is. They're going to make all these moves to try and make Myles happy and show, no, don't worry. We're still contenders. Watch this. We're going to trade for Cooper Kupp now. What? Why are you trading for Cooper Kupp? He's old. He's injury prone. He's expensive. Well, we'll have a good slot wide receiver. Myles, are you happy now? Please stay. That's scary to me. My suspicion is the Browns met with Myles, that's not suspicion. They did. And in those meetings, they relayed, we don't think there's a good starting quarterback in this draft that can take us to the promised land. So we're going to go with the bridge quarterback route. We're going to sign one of these veteran free agents. And they're going to hold down the fort for a season or two until we find our quarterback in the draft. Garrett goes, whoa, season or two. That's one season of a bridge. That's one season of the rookie quarterback being a rookie, and no rookie quarterback has ever won a Super Bowl. So we're talking best case scenario, 3 years from now, we are in an actual contending spot. That does not sound like a good plan to me. So maybe the Browns say, okay, well, we'll speed up that timeline. We'll take a quarterback now, and then by next year, when they're in year 2, is that close enough for you to feel like you can still be in a championship window here? And now all of a sudden you're changing your draft strategy to just make Myles happy. I'm not a fan of letting players make the picks. There have been a lot of instances of players who have been on a team for a long time. Maybe not a lot, but didn't Patrick Mahomes have some level of influence on Kansas City drafting Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Am I making that up, or was that not a story? And that was a bad pick. It unfortunately did not work out for them. No, I don't think you should let Myles's, I won't say demands, but what he sees in a future and what you see start to blend and merge, and you go, okay, you're right. We will take a quarterback second overall. Yeah, forget that Abdul Carter guy. I'm sure he stinks anyway. So would you draft a quarterback at number 2 if it meant keeping Myles Garrett? Some of you watching already want to take a quarterback at number 2. I personally do not think there's a quarterback in this draft class worth a top 5 draft pick. And that sounds crazy right now, but I don't think it'll sound all that crazy in a few years. So for me, I would say no. I don't think you light the second overall pick on fire just to keep 95 happy. I think that's a bad way to run an organization, and I think a year or two from now, you're just right back where you started, and Myles wants to trade, and you don't have the second overall pick player of Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter on your roster for the next quarterback to inherit. Their step 1 is come up with a new quarterback plan. I don't think it's a good thing to go down this path, but that's kind of the only option you really have. Step 2, or option number 2, add an extra 0. He has said that he is not in this for the money. But when you slap on an extra 0, that can change a lot of people's minds. I mean, I'm watching Beast games right now, and how many people have changed their minds when they were tempted with a lot of money? So I'm looking at the highest paid non-quarterbacks in the NFL. Justin Jefferson sits at the top making $35 million a season. Myles Garrett, for reference, makes $25 million a season. So what if you go, hey, Myles, we'll make you the highest paid defensive end in football, besting Nick Bosa. You'll go from $25 million a season to $34.5 million a season. What if that's not good enough? All right. How about this? 4 years, $160 million. You put $40 million a season in front of him and make him say no. You give him starting quarterback type of money. And he might have a different thought. This is your Hail Mary. And he might say no. And if he did say no, in a weird way, I'd almost be proud of him for it. Because he's not letting money dictate what he thinks is best for himself. But you have to try if you're the Browns. You got to go, we're going to not only just make you the highest non-paid quarterback in the NFL, we're going to blow out the record and make it $5 million more and not just barely one up Justin Jefferson. 4 years, $160 million. That's one way. Not a guarantee, but you got to try probably. Before we look at the third way to keep Myles in Cleveland, today's show made possible thanks to Game Time. Game Time has an awesome feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats so you do not have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. One thing I really like about Game Time is their all-in pricing option. Toggling this feature shows the total upfront cost with no surprise fees at checkout. Plus, you can filter by city on Game Time. If you want to see what's going on in Cleveland or wherever else you live, visit Game Time right now and take the guesswork out of buying tickets. Download the app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHAT Sports for $20 off. I put all that information in the comments and description of today's video. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Turning our attention back to a 3-step plan to keep Myles Garrett in Cleveland, although between you and me, I don't think it's going to happen. But if you are looking for a Hail Mary, I'm your man here. Step number 3, just don't trade him, right? Nothing forcing the Browns to trade him. Got 2 years left on his contract. You want to keep Myles in Cleveland, then you just keep him in Cleveland. Keep him hostage, which has a lot of cons to it, but the Browns could do this. I mean, Andrew Berry has not minced his words. He has not blinked. We're in a stare down right now. And he has said time and time and time again, he has no interest in trading Myles Garrett. So the simplest way to keep Myles Garrett in Cleveland is do not trade him, which might sound too simple. Like, oh, I didn't realize it'd be that easy. I guess we just don't trade him. But there are a lot of cons that follow with that. You keep Myles hostage in Cleveland. We'll rotate through these, Dylan. You keep Myles hostage in Cleveland. That's a bad message to the locker room. I mean, that's a locker room that goes, our best player has said publicly he does not think we are a contender. He doesn't believe in this front office that they can become a contender. And they're keeping him hostage here. That's one big fat elephant in the room. And I don't think it's going to have a nice ending. I don't think Myles is going to wake up in July going, you know what I said back in February? Forget it. We'll shake hands. We'll go out for a nice steak dinner. And you're absolutely right, guys. We can win here. And revisiting that last tweet we had on screen from Ari Miroff, when Barry was asked, hey, if someone sees you at dinner and says, we'll give you 2 1s for Myles Garrett, do you say, I'm not interested? And Barry says, correct. You can put that on the record. That's an important interaction right there, because if Andrew Barry ends up blinking first and does trade Myles Garrett, he has said, I'm not trading him for 2 firsts, which means your asking price is insanely high. And there may not be a team that meets that asking price. Barry said, I'm not trading him for 2 firsts. So if he trades him for 2 firsts in a week or so, he's more or less admitting defeat. And these guys in the NFL, they're pretty stubborn. They don't get to where they are by bending over backwards for other people. So the only way the Browns in Barry's eyes are going to trade him is the minimum, the floor, is 2 firsts and then some, which would be unprecedented. I mean, Bradley Chubb traded for a first-round pick. There were some extra picks that went along with a few of these trades, but I wouldn't say they were meaningless, but they were more or less just day 2, day 3 pick swaps. I mean, the closest one we really have is Khalil Mack. He went to Chicago for 2 first-round draft picks, but also the Bears got the Raiders' second-round draft pick, and the Raiders got the Bears' third-round draft pick. So there were some day 2 and day 3 pick swaps there. Barry is saying, I'm not even listening at 2 first-round picks. I don't know how many teams are going to offer 2 firsts and more. You got to think about this from their perspective. We are all a little bit biased because we all have seen how great and impactful Myles Garrett is. But a GM for another team is going to come into this looking for pros and cons. And the cons are, he's 29 years old. You're going to have to give him a huge extension and make him the highest paid defensive end of football, which is not, an insurmountable thing to do, but it's factored in. Garrett's also dealt with a couple of injuries. There was the car incident 2 years ago. He had a shoulder injury last year in Denver. Earlier this past season, he had an injury. So a team might look at that and go, hey, that's a guy who's actually been playing through some stuff right there. I don't know if it's really worth us giving up 3 first-rounders for that. That might be a little too rich for us. And if the Browns trade him before June 1st, it's a $36 million dead cap hit. So there's plenty of motivation for Cleveland to go, we're not doing any trade until after June 1, when the dead cap hit goes way down because we can spread this number over 2025 and 2026. But here's the issue with that. You trade Myles Garrett after the draft, after June 1st, you're not getting in 2025 draft picks. No, Andrew Barry is getting 2026 and 2027 draft picks for the next GM to use, because Barry's going to get fired. You think they're going to hold on to Andrew Barry after he trades Myles Garrett and they have a bad 2025 season? 2 straight subpar losing years? No, they're going to clean house. So Andrew Barry now is traded his best player away, and he never even gets to touch what he got in that trade. No, it's all picked for the next GM. That's an impossible position for Barry to be in, unless he has very good reason to believe I will not be fired no matter what. And that is a bet I don't think Barry wants to make. So we'll wrap up with this right here. Will Myles Garrett stay in Cleveland? I think it's in everyone's best interest to trade him. Get a bidding war going. Drive up his price. Get as much as you can. And take your medicine. Accept the defeat that you blundered, wasted, and squashed the prime of so many great players. Myles Garrett, Nick Chubb, Joel Petonio, Denzel Ward. 4 guys who are perennial Pro Bowlers, potential Hall of Famers. Myles for sure, Petonio maybe. And that sucks. And it all comes back to the Deshaun Watson trade, which this next part's going to sound crazy. I'm not in defense of the trade with what we know now, but I don't necessarily fault the Browns for thinking we can improve at the quarterback position because we don't believe Baker can beat Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, or Lamar Jackson. But we think Deshaun Watson can. And at the moment, that kind of sounded pretty realistic. Nowadays, not at all. But back then it did. And I don't blame the Browns for having the thought process of, it's our job to improve the roster, and we found a way to improve it. It turns out it was not an improvement, but the thinking of we should look to improve is good thinking. They just made the biggest gamble of their lives. They put it all on black, on red, and it landed on green. Let's pick a card to wrap up the show. Mr. Dylan Summers, which Dylan Sutcliffe card do you want to pick today? Green, by the way, should be outlawed in Vegas. Are you a gambling man at all? I've dabbled. Dabbled's a light way of putting it. I love a good casino trip. If it lands on green, I'm going out the window. Okay. I'm thinking 6 of spades, but it won't be that. So I'm not going to do 6 of spades. I'm going to do ace of hearts. It's 6 of spades. Gotta be fucking kidding me. I can't believe that. That's never gonna go away from my brain. Okay. This has just been a bad week. Damn it. I'll see you guys later.